The Charlie Cook Cricket Podcast. Now, we had an incredible week of county championship fixtures this week. Some nail biters to finish. It's just some ridiculous games. I'm here with Joe today. We are going to go through every single game, break it down, tell you who was good, tell you who was bad, who's going to win the rest of it. And we are going to start off with the game of the tie. Durham versus Warwickshire. Durham 387 in their first innings. In reply, Warwickshire 325. Durham 276 for 8 declared, and then Warwickshire chase it down with Ethan Bamber hitting a 6 off the very last ball. Joe, what do you reckon? Durham declared too early in my books.
Yeah, I would probably say they did. I feel like they left a couple of runs out there, or more than a couple, a fair few runs out there. Should have kind of backed themselves to bowl Warwickshire out with the amount of time that they had left. I mean, like you say, it went down to the last ball and Warwickshire batted for 92.3 overs, so they obviously had a lot of time left in that game to bowl Warwickshire out, and especially if they were kind of playing for a draw, the whole kind of game situation changes. So yeah, I say Durham probably did declare too early, but I thought Warwickshire were also fantastic, particularly in that second innings. Barnard, Smith, Booth, Bamber, those four particularly, and I think Smith has been exceptional so far for Warwickshire. So.
Yeah, I mean, Warwickshire been 90 for 5 in that chase. And then 295 for 8, 2 wickets left. They still need another 44 runs. To win it from that situation is just ridiculous. We'll go back to the first innings, though. Ben McKinney, he has to play for England at some point this summer. I mean, 153 off 244 deliveries. Showed his class and stepped up when his team needed him. They do not make 387 in that first innings if it wasn't for McKinney's runs. They needed those runs to be involved in this game.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. I mean, like according to Wisdom, they seem to think he will be involved in the Test match against Zimbabwe. So yeah, 153 off 244, like stylish left-handed batter, kind of scores his runs at a good rate, not too slow, but he doesn't go kind of crazy at the start. Try to blast everything to the boundary, and yeah, he's just like a typical left-hander, really very good through the covers, good cutter of the ball. Like he just got everything you really want. I'd already averaging over 40. I think he's averaging 41 in first-class cricket so far. So it's already a good start to his career. If he does kind of go into that Test match side, then I think he's going to do well. Although it'd be nice, in my opinion, for him to have a couple more years developing at county cricket. But I'm not like, that's not to say I don't want him in the side. I just think in an ideal world, that would be.
I think even if he sits out this year, just for the simple fact of it's such a big year for England this year, if he was to sit out this year and not play until next year after the Ashes, I don't think that that's a massive issue for his development.
Yeah, I agree. Like giving him those invaluable kind of months in county championship cricket is so key. But I do think he probably will get picked,
especially in that Zimbabwe Test. Another player that should be picked for England, Matthew Potts scores 70 with a bat. And then another 38 not out. Also picks up wickets. Takes 3 for 79 in the second innings, 1 for 59 in the first. Just looks a bit quicker than he has done in the past. He looks like he's about 84, 85 mile an hour without actually having a speed gun on him. I genuinely think he's England's best bowler, and I don't understand why they can't see that.
Yeah, he's brilliant, isn't he? So consistent. Gets a lot of kind of like lateral movement off that seam, and just kind of like it's so relentless. Really, I think is the best word to describe Potts. He doesn't really stop working. He doesn't stop running in, and he is just someone who I think is going to be key for England, especially in Australia. We talk about how long we've been saying in Australia such a player is going to be key, but I really do think that is the case with Potts, and I hope he gets a chance this summer because he really deserves it.
I think he's the closest that we've got to Scott Boland. And I think that's who we need when we go to Australia. I think he's going to bowl the right pace. I think he's going to bowl the right areas, and he will be able to get some movement off of the seam. Moving on to another bowler that probably should play for England. Sam Cook picks up 4 for 44 in their draw between Essex and Nottinghamshire. Nottinghamshire bat first, 347 they score in the first innings, 128 for Carl Verena in his first game back for Notts. Essex in the second innings, 367. Jordan Cox carries on scoring the runs. Tall Paul runs top of the order, 76 that he makes. Nottinghamshire then score 385. in their second innings, despite being 242 for 8 and in real trouble. Jack Haynes, 142, his first century for Notts since he moved from Worcestershire. And then Essex don't even really try and chase down the 366 set to him in about 50 overs. That was just a little bit too much. It was a good performance from both teams. Sam Cook picking up wickets again, as similar to what we said about Potts. I think he just has to play for England this year.
Yeah, I feel like now or never under McCullum and Stokes for me. For Cook, I do think that if he doesn't get a chance now, I don't think he will under this current regime. I'm not too further down the line, he won't. But he has to now. He really does, and I'm hoping that this is his summer because he's superb. Everyone knows his numbers. Everyone knows how good he is. Whether you're kind of a like hardcore county nerd like we are, or you just maybe more of a casual county fan, everyone knows how good Sam Cook is, and he has to play for England this summer. There's no two ways about it, and has to be on that plane to Australia.
Yeah, I agree. Another player that's going to be probably pivotal. There's a word in there somewhere that I can't say. Carl Verreynne is going to be pretty important to South Africa this Test summer in the World Test Championship. He scores another century. He's probably a little bit too good to be playing county cricket at this point. He could have made my world test team in a year last year in 2024. He finished off the year really well for South Africa, and good to see him playing for Notts and scoring runs. And then obviously Notts' other centurion in Jack Haynes. Tough year last year, but nice for him to score some runs as well.
Yeah, I'm pleased for Haynes. He's someone who had a bit of a tough year. I think he had 4 ducks in a row at one point, but such a talented player and someone who really kind of puts in the hard yards and is clearly getting the rewards. He's for like 750s as well for Notts, so he's not been bad for them, but nice for him to get his first 100 on the board. And yeah, like you say about Verreynne, he's a fantastic player. I would say one of the best, if not the best, keeper batsman in the world in Test cricket, maybe with Alex Carey as well. But I don't think you like the Carey phrase there.
Jamie Smith, maybe. I mean,
Jamie Smith.
There we go.
But no, yeah, very sick. Also, this Notts team is really good. I really like them, and I'm buzzing that Ferguson O'Neill's doing so well. Another 3 wickets, 11 wickets this season, leading wicket taker in the county championship. He's just an incredible bowler, and I'm glad he's finally kind of getting that worldwide recognition because he's a genuine wicket taker who, like we say about Cook and Potts, he will be playing Test cricket before long, I think, because he's an mint player.
I mean, how many players miss out on Australia's spot because Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood are just so good? I mean, it's one of those again, isn't it?
It is. But I do think he will break it because I don't think they can ignore, especially with Boland getting on a little bit. I do think he'll be kind of on the fringes soon enough.
Yeah, and the one thing that I will say about that Jack Haynes century as well, going back to that, is that it was so important at the time. The fact they put on 140 runs for those last 2 wickets saved the game. Otherwise, Essex are chasing down 240 in 70 odd overs, and it's a walk in the park. So yeah, really good innings, saves the draw, and a good result for Notts in the end, because you'd probably say Essex was slightly ahead in the game. But apart from that, it was pretty good from them. Moving on to Surrey versus Hampshire. Surrey, first innings, score 253. Dom Sibley scores 100 in the first innings, 100 in the second. Hampshire make 219 in their first. Surrey then 342 for 9 declared, an 84 from Jamie Smith, a 65 from Ollie Pope. And then Hampshire gave it a good go in the last innings. They scored 300 for 5 until the blokes in silly coats took us off the bad light when it wasn't actually that dark. Nick Gubbins scores 117. Hampshire at one point 30 for 3. It was 2 night watchmen that they lost in Brad Will and Sonny Baker. So not the end of the world. Hampshire needed 77 off about 10 overs, but at the time they went off a bad light. It could have definitely been done. And it does feel a little bit harsh to drag them off at that point. I don't know. What we go change to a pink ball. make the lights a bit brighter, tell the batsmen that they've just got to get on with it. That's probably down the realms of what we've got to do. The Wisdom did a really, really good kind of point on it of that you are ruining the game by taking players off a bad light. You've got to change something at some point.
Yeah, I think Hampshire would have won that. They had obviously two set batters. Obviously, Gubbins kind of laid a perfect platform, and Toby Albert was fantastic. 78 not out, 182 deliveries, and was happy to kind of play second fiddle to Gubbins and then really kind of took over that mantle. And Tom Prest batted pretty well as well. So they had like two set batters, even once Gubbins got out. And I think they probably would have chased that given they had Dawson and Ben Brown as well still to come. And I mean, Kyle Abbott's no mug with the bat either. So yeah, I do think Hampshire would have won that. So I feel it's a bit of a shame for them that they couldn't try and get over the line. But I think they'll be buzzing with a draw. Surrey have not made the start of the season that they might have expected, although as we kind of discussed on the Cat Cricket podcast, round two wrap-up show, they actually drew both games last season to start the season, so they probably won't be too bothered because I'm sure they'll come back with kind of swinging next week. But yeah, I think Hampshire will be delighted with the draw because to me that's a fantastic result.
Yeah, and another bowler that probably will play for England at some point. Sonny Baker picks up 5 for 80 in the second innings for Surrey. Takes some good wickets in there. Picks up Dan Lawrence, picks up Jamie Smith, mops up the tail. Bowled a very, very Bazball kind of spell. Round the wicket, short ball stuff, the occasional Yorker. I can't remember who he got out with a Yorker. Was it Jordan Clark or Matt Fisher, something like that? It's a really good ball to get him kind of round the wicket with the Yorker. Bowled really well. He's exciting, Sonny Baker, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a fantastic bowler. And talking about bowlers who should or could be playing for England this summer, I think there's another one. I think he'll definitely start in the white ball arena and maybe a test cap will come later. Well, I think definitely a test cap will come later, but maybe that won't be this year. Maybe that'll be in 2026. But yeah, he's a very exciting bowler. And tell you what, Hampshire have got a lot of them. I'm sure we'll talk about. I'll definitely be talking about John Turner a little bit later. We'll talk about Lance, but he's another one who's fantastic. So yeah, Sonny Baker's fantastic. Everything you want. He's quick. He can move the ball laterally. He gets really good balls. He's got a really good short ball. So yeah, Sonny Baker's a very exciting player.
And also, he fits the mould a little bit more than what they're looking for now, rather than maybe the Sam Cook or Matt Potts that we were talking about previously. Being tall, being fast, being that sort of player. Moving on to Sussex versus Somerset. Sussex first innings 294 to 3 40-odd scores for Sussex in the first innings. Somerset then go and score 201 all out in the second innings. James Rue with an 80 not out to carry on his good form for the season. And then Sussex in their second innings score 501 for 7 declared. Tom Haynes with 141. John Simpson with yet another century. And then in the final innings, Somerset bundled out for 334. Tom Abel top scoring with 96. Somerset in trouble yet? Are we worrying about Somerset?
No, I think it was an off week. I mean, they didn't have Overton firstly, so he's obviously a big miss. I just think that this Somerset side are very good, and like I say, it's just an off week. I'm interested to see if they decide to bring Andy Amid in to the top of the order alongside Archie Vaughan, because Sean Dixon's not been in the greatest form, and obviously Vaughan's kind of got double the kind of value to the team, I guess, with his spin. He got 40 overs in Sussex's second innings. So yeah, I do think that potentially they'll look to bring Andy Amid in at some point. But yeah, it's just an off week for me for Somerset. I don't think there's too much cause for concern or they'll be too worried about that.
No, I agree. John Simpson scored another century. He's just unreal, isn't he? He's just. I wish he still played for Middlesex. Okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Okay.
He's brilliant, isn't he? I think you can go back any number of years, and I think you struggle to find a better kind of domestic signing than John Simpson because he's just superb. His lowest score of the season is 20 odd at Edgbaston, and he's also got a 47 in against Somerset, and then 110 out against Somerset, and then his big 180 odd against Warwickshire in the first weeks. He's just fantastic as a batter, as a captain. there aren't really many better people to lead this Sussex project than Simpson and Fabries. In fact, I don't think there are any better people because look how well they've done.
Mm.
And I don't think Sussex fans will be at all worried about relegation now. If they even were at the start, I wasn't really thinking they'd go down. They've got a lot
No.
of good players. Tom Haynes, for me, is one of the best owning batters on the circuit, on the county circuit. I think he's an exceptional player. And talk about, I mentioned earlier about Ben McKinney kind of honing his craft and really knowing his game. That is Tom Haynes in a nutshell. Fantastic opener. It's a shame that he doesn't fit the profile really that England want, because I think he'd be talked up a lot more for a test spot. I know I like to see him in there regardless of profile. We know that's never going to happen. I definitely like to see his kind of name in the hat kind of thing.
Yeah, another one that will probably put his name into the hat eventually if he hasn't already. James Rue scores another scores 80 odd again. What did he score in the second? He's 20. Obviously scored the 100 against Worcestershire last week. Does he have a chance to make the England squad at some point?
Well, it'll be interesting, won't it? I mean, like, oh, sorry, hang on, I got sidetracked. Wait, can you edit this bit out?
Yeah.
Sorry, a notification caught my eye on my phone. Um, sorry. Wait, can you ask a question again so it flows a bit better?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What?
No, I put my phone in Do Not Disturb, but I don't want that because I'm waiting for in case there's a goal in the Arsenal game. So
No, that's right. James Rue scores 80 odd in this game in the first innings, then another 20 odd in the second. Does he have a chance of making the England squad at some point?
well, that's an interesting one again because does he fit the profile that England are looking for? I'm not necessarily sure, despite his talent. Although he did score quickly this week, which is obviously a bonus. I don't know if England will see him as more of a future keeper batter, but there's no doubt his talent. Obviously, scored that 100 with Banton last week, and I feel like there are probably people ahead of him in the pecking order, for that England spot. But I would not be opposed to seeing him included in a squad, and he is very very good. And like
Yeah,
I say, he's 80 this week will be encouraging. 83 deliveries, 13 falls. That's what England want to see in their current kind of test regime, I guess. So that'll be encouraging for them.
my idea for James Rue is probably the point of Joe Root retires, Jamie Smith goes to 4, James Rue gets the gloves. That's kind of the timeline that I'd imagine he's on. So you're looking
But
at
would that mean
three,
that
four
Rue's
years
batting at
time.
7? Therefore, 'cause I'm not sure if.
6.
Yeah, I feel like Rue and Smith would be better swapped around in many ways.
What
But
Rue
then
batting
again,
4?
I think Rue's more of a top order player than Smith. Um, if you kind of had to pick one, maybe I'd just split
Yeah.
hairs there. But I don't really think that. But yeah, I don't disagree. Like once Root goes,
It's going from that world of your wicketkeeper should bat 6 or 7, and it's kind of getting rid of that mindset of
yeah,
if you're a wicketkeeper you should bat 6 and 7.
yeah, I suppose so. And like I said, I don't. It depends. Maybe that's me talking from like a basketball point of view because
Yeah,
if McCullum and Stokes are still, or at least one of the two are still around, then they might not want someone like Rue who maybe scores a bit slower at 7. I guess that was the issue with folks. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But I definitely think going to be a 10 cricketer at some point. His brother's also ridiculously good and is already captaining Somerset second 11 at a very young age. So it wouldn't surprise me if both Rue brothers are playing Test cricket before.
yeah. And also, someone's gonna have to fight Rocky Flint off for that number 4 spot as well.
There
So
you go. Yeah.
that's the other issue you've got. Moving on to the last game of Division 1 this week, Yorkshire versus Worcestershire, a record-breaking one. This one, Yorkshire scored 456 in the first innings, 98 top score from Darren Milan. No one made a century in 456, which was interesting. You then had Worcestershire 162 in reply. Yorkshire then smashed 315 for 4. Dom Bess with a night watchman century, which is always fantastic to see. Then Worcestershire bundled out for 105 all out. George Hill takes 4 for 23. Yorkshire win by 504 runs, the largest victory by runs in the county championship ever in the 150 odd years or however long it's been going for now. Joe, Worcestershire are in trouble this year, aren't they? It doesn't look great for them. Obviously conceded a shed load of runs and survived by the skin of their teeth the last week. 9 times out of 10, they lose that game last week, and they were put away by a side that they probably should be competing with, a Yorkshire side that doesn't have Root or Brook in it, who are newly promoted. I mean, that would be a worry, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I do think they're in a little bit of trouble early on. Unfortunately, they're obviously a really kind of strong unit, and I don't think we're seeing that synergy yet. They're clearly good enough to play Division One cricket because they stayed up last year. That would have happened if they weren't very good. I just think, like I say, we're just kind of waiting on that synergy. It's not really kind of like clicked yet, which is a real shame because it's easy to get behind Worcestershire, isn't it? You know, kind of how they did last year, everything that they've been through. It's really easy to get behind this Worcestershire side and want them to do well. Rob Jones got 100 in the twos this week, so potentially see his inclusion in the side in their next game. It could be quite an intriguing one. Obviously, former Lights player, so I always like to see people like Rob Jones do well. And yeah, hopefully he can kind of help this Worcestershire side score a few more runs because that's definitely, for me, their kind of big weakness at the minute.
Yeah, I agree. Really good performance from Yorkshire. I thought they might struggle this year, especially. What did you say? That the Root and Brook aren't coming back. They're only going to play one game this year. Possibly?
That's what I read on Twitter. So yeah, I believe it's only one. But like I say, take that with a pinch of salt because it's Twitter.
I did have someone badgering me on TikTok, being like, "When's Root and Brook going to play? Are they going to be available for the Essex game?" I'm like, "Mate, I don't know. I don't have anything to do with Yorkshire County Cricket Club. I'd imagine they'd play. I don't see why they wouldn't, but maybe I should message him and say that that's not going to happen." Good result for Yorkshire. Batted well. Milan just scoring runs again. I just didn't expect that to happen. What's he now? 48 or something?
Yeah, it's cool that he's playing football cricket. Like someone who I thought would have gone down the franchise route, which would have been completely understandable, by the way, you know, given what he's achieved in his career. But no, it's cool that he's still committed enough to play red ball cricket. He's still good at it as well. I highly rate George Hill, and I think we're looking at a potential England all-rounder there. 60 odd in the first innings, he got 63 off 82. Obviously got wickets as well in the second innings, kind of that match winning score, really, 4 for 23 off 7.1 overs. Like, for me, we're looking at a future England all-rounder in George Hill, and he's a really, really exciting prospect, and I'm intrigued to see his development for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that England are lacking at the moment, of just having who's that. I'm not going to say he's Ben Stokes, but who fills that all-rounder spot when Stokes isn't around.
Stokes. Yeah, I think that's one of the questions that no one's asked, but probably should be answered at some point. And I think George Hill is a seriously good contender for that because he's a really good player.
I agree. In terms of the table, you have Warwickshire, Nottinghamshire, Sussex all tied for the top 35 points. Hampshire in 4th, Essex in 5th, Yorkshire at 6th, Surrey 7th, Somerset 8th, Worcestershire 9th, Durham 10th. Our 2 picks of Somerset and Durham to be challenging for the title this year is looking good, with Somerset in 8th and Durham in 10th. I think it's not over. There's another 12 games. And let's not even think about who could be out of it and who could.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm sure it will be fine. Moving on to Division 2, we're going to start with Gloucestershire versus Glamorgan. This was a bit of a bore draw in the end. Gloucestershire scored 546, Glamorgan 385 in reply. Gloucestershire then asked Glamorgan to follow on, and Glamorgan finished 288 for 4. Century from Colin Ingram, and then 2 centuries for Gloucestershire, Cameron Bancroft and Ollie Price. Runs kind of the standard Division 2 game of early in the season. The pitches aren't that exciting. The bowling's not that fast. And there was just a shed loads of runs scored.
Yeah, I think Gloucestershire probably made a mistake enforcing the follow-on. I think just that extra even 20, 30 overs, they could have batted Tyre. Firstly, give their bowlers a rest, but Tyre Glamorgan out in the field, a little bit demoralising, I'd imagine, chasing a war. I know your target's only getting bigger, or not only we're obviously going to try and win, but you know that's still a little bit demoralising, I'm sure. But I think Glamorgan actually batted really well.
Yeah.
It was a road. Let's not kind of think otherwise. But they've still got to score the runs, and they did. 385 in the first innings, 288 for 4 in the second innings, and Colin Ingram's a run machine, isn't he? I think that's the big takeaway from that. And yeah, nice to see Ollie Price as well scoring runs, 101 for him. Obviously, um, Gloucestershire Academy lad, and kind of given that real responsibility of batting three, and he's really kind of taken that into his stride. So nice to see him in the runs as well.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Ingram in first class cricket, 137 matches, over 9,000 runs now, average of 42. It wasn't a surprise that he hasn't had a shout in the Test match side for South Africa. Um, Feels like he's missed out slightly there, but is always good in county cricket and deserves his runs. I'm surprised that Sam Northeast hasn't really got going yet. He usually loves. He scored a 50 in this game, but I mean, what did he score against Middlesex last year? It was a triple century at the start of the season last year, wasn't it? I know it's
Yeah,
high expectations and he
the
can't
half
do it
body.
every year. Um, but you expect him to score big early runs, and that hasn't kind of happened yet. Also, no news of Labuschagne. Are we getting Labuschagne? Is
I would
Labuschagne
assume not at this
existing?
stage. I guess obviously just wants to kind of, I don't know, take time off cricket until the World Test Championship final, which I suppose is fair enough. Yeah, I guess I assume he's not coming, but Cam Green will be playing for Gloucestershire. Well, he's in Gloucestershire now, or he's in Gloucester now in Bristol. So I assume he'll be playing for this week.
And won't be
So,
bowling. I think it was the
yeah,
news. And
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
they said he's going to be fit to bowl until the Ashes.
Well, part of me thinks they potentially open the batting with him in the World Test Championship final, or play him as a batter and put like Inglis at the top of the order or something like that. So maybe we'll see him open the batting, but I don't think Gloucester would do that. Bancroft and Charles are a very good opening pair, and I've got runs both of them recently. So
Yeah, I mean, you'd be amazed if Gloucestershire, say if they had, say if they wanted to see how James Bracey went at the top of the order or something, for England to, you'd be surprised if Gloucestershire went that way to break up a partnership, opening partnership that works. Let alone, I'm going to go and help the Australia team,
exactly, yeah,
um,
exactly, yeah.
but by hurting my own chances. It's not going to happen.
No, no, no.
Um, Moving on to Leicestershire versus Derbyshire. Leicestershire score 484, thanks to 80s from Sol Ballinger and Logan Van Beek. Derbyshire in reply 393. They were 139 for 6 at one point, but then a century from Martin Anderson gets them up to a really good score of 393. Leicestershire in reply 357 for 9 declared. An exciting 77 from Rian Ahmed at the top of the order. And then Derbyshire 305 for 4. The two captains shake hands. A 96 from Wayne Madsen, who extended his Derbyshire contract until 2026 today or yesterday, whenever you're listening to this. Was the most exciting thing in this game Rian Ahmed opening the batting?
Probably, yeah, because it's entertaining, isn't it? And 77 off 59, 14 fours and a six, striking at 130. So good with those cover drives, wasn't he? Exceptional shots down the ground as well. Like it was really entertaining to watch. It's an exciting experiment, even if it's short term. Part of me thinks is he doing this to try and get into the England side as an opener. That's food for thought. I'm not sure at all. That'll be quite fun. But yeah, it's entertaining to watch at the end of the day, isn't it? And him and Bullinger, if both of those fire at the same time, that is demoralising for Leicester's opposition, who next up happen to be Lancs, so that could be fun for us at the weekend. But no, yeah, if those two fire at the same time, that'll be exceptionally exciting to watch. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if Rian Ahmed can do this, if we can have a leg spinning opening bat that goes out and whacks it, that is very exciting, incredibly exciting. And if that happens, okay, there's a part of me that thinks that this England team is starting to get a little bit more sensible. Uh,
I
Is
agree with that. Yeah,
is probably the word. They're probably a little bit pissed off with everyone saying you're not taking it seriously, and they're going to try and be a little bit more sensible than they have been. Um, I think it would be a real risk to go out and do that. In terms of this game, Leicestershire were probably on top for most of it. Derbyshire did well to hang on. They batted well in their second innings, Derbyshire, to get up to 305. They had Leicestershire at 80 overs, or probably a little bit more than that, 90, 95 overs to take those 10 wickets. So you could have seen that there was a chance. Logan Van Beek in his first game back of the season played really well. Had runs in, got 25 in the second innings, with his 80 in the first. Picked up 5 wickets, so he looks good on his return. I like Leicestershire. I think they're a good side this year.
I like Leicester. I think they'll surprise people because people never seem to give Leicestershire the credit they deserve. And I think they'll be in the promotion conversation at the end of the season. I really do. They're a really good Red Bull side.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Middlesex and Lancs not looking as good as we thought they were going to. I think there is definitely at least one of the spaces that we thought were nailed on for those two teams to be available. Definitely to be pushed anyway. We should probably talk about one of those teams in Middlesex who lost to Kent this week. Middlesex scored 222 in the first innings, replied by 218, which left it a 2-inning shootout. Middlesex bat well. Ben Geddes scores 75, a 57 from Zafar Gohar batting down at 9. Gives them 311, setting Kent 316 to win. Zach Crawley gets them off to a fast start. He scores 58 despite being dropped on a duck. After Zafar Gohar takes 2 in 2 balls. That a partnership between Ben Compton and Twanda Muyeye, both scoring 120s. See Kent home, 8 wickets in hand. Twanda Muyeye, he is an exciting player, isn't he?
Yes, he's very very good. Like the rate at which he scores his runs is exciting to watch. 125 of 127, 13 fours, 5 6 striking at 98. Like that's exciting. The manner in which he scores them, in terms of like how he looks to watch when he's batting, is just really nice to watch. Just a really entertaining player, and definitely kind of exciting to watch in that middle order. I actually said in the previous show that I'd like to see him at the top of the order, but no, I've changed my mind on that. I think he's suits that number 4 spot perfectly, and he's scoring runs consistently. So yeah, exciting player.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about him going to the top of the order is that is there a spot at the top of the order in the England side? Could we see him in an England squad in a year or two's time?
Potentially, again, an interesting thought. I mean, we just spoke about a similar thing for Real Ahmed, I guess, but I guess Moyet has kind of.
I opening for Mieye wouldn't seem as out of place as Rian
That's what I
Ahmed
mean.
doing
He's got
it.
more
Yeah.
like more kind of like credibility, I guess, in the batting in terms of he's done it before. So yeah, that's an interesting one. But he's a really good player, isn't he? Like he's spectacular to watch.
Yeah. In terms of the Middlesex performance, just like missing a fast bowler, they're missing Dane Patterson. It's a shame that he hasn't played yet. I'm hoping that he plays this week. The experiment, the idea that Nathan Fernandez can go out and open in the batting. Now, if Sam Robson comes back into the side, then I'd imagine they keep Eskenazi in the side, or they move Ben Geddes to open. I mean, Fernandez so far this year, he scored 1 and a 3 against Lancs in the first game of the season, and he scored 4 and 1 against Kent in the second game. Not quite sure how long that can go on for. I thought Kent played well. Kent looks good, and I feel like they look good in these kind of shootout games. They looked good against Northants last week in a low-scoring shootout. I, I think 8 times out of 10 Middlesex win this game. Kent chasing 316. I think it was just a really good performance from those two bats there. Ben Compton's done it before in the county championship, so that's fine. There's just, as a Middlesex fan, there's a couple of things to worry about in there. But that's all I'd worry about, really. Finally, last game of Division 2, Northants versus Lancs. Northants scored 496 after Lancs won the toss and decided to bowl first, which I kept seeing on Twitter from very, very angry Lancashire fans. Lancashire then scored 228 in the in their first innings. Eaton Jennings top scoring with 96. And then were asked to follow on by Northants. They then score 351 for 9. Some heroic stuff at the end from Luke Wells, Josh Bohannon, and Tom Bailey to survive until the end of the day. They bat out nearly 150 overs. Calvin Harrison taking 7 for 119, bowling 57 overs. I know you're a Lancs fan, but we are going to start with Calvin Harrison. That was some effort from the bloke, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've never been that, or not for a long time, been that impressed watching a spinner in county cricket, particularly in April. I mean, he is just fantastic. Like a very throwback leg spinner. He's got that kind of classic leg spinner's twirl in his action. Is so accurate and so consistent. You don't really see that often with leg spinners. They're a bit more of an X factor bowler, but Harrison is that, and also so consistent. And yeah, I really enjoyed watching him for the 3 days that I was there for. I thought he was, like I say, just a very throwback leg spinner. Controls his pace well. Got good googly as well. Like he's a really good bowler, and I genuinely was like left impressed, and I'm surprised he can't get into the knot side because he's very. I mean, he's potentially been pigeonholed as a white ball player early on in his career. Got picked up in the 100 very early as well when he was a bit of an unknown quantity, but now he's very much like a major red ball player. I think I'll be interested to see where his future lies because I tell you what, if not still wanting Northants will be one of the sides sniffing around, and there'll be several other counties. I mean, I wouldn't say no to him at Lancs. We obviously got some Hartley, but it's not exactly bad depth having Hartley and Harrison. So yeah, that'd be interesting. Can bat as well, score 50 odd, 56 he got in the first innings. So yeah, that was a brilliant performance.
Yeah. This is more of a personal question to Keaton Jennings, because I'm pretty sure he hates me. As a Keaton Jennings owner in the cricket draft, to score 96 and then 49. So the 5 runs that you didn't score, to score 100 and then a 50 have cost me 75 points. So I'm very pissed off at you for that. So if you could sort that out, otherwise you are getting subbed out. Josh Bohannon, 155. He's pretty good, isn't he? Again, we're talking about throwback players. I mean, that second innings was just batting for his life, batting for the team, and saved the game for Lancs, really.
Yeah, Bahana's not been in great form for a while now. I think he'd be the first to admit he's kind of not quite been at the level he or has been at in previous season, probably would hope to be at. But that was a classic Bahana innings. Like I've seen obviously a lot of Bahana play. That was one of the best innings I've seen from him in, like I say, a long, long time. Brilliant cover driver Bahana, like a lot of smaller batters are, and that was a real standout for me. So gritty, so resilient. Really wanted those runs, and yeah, I thought he was brilliant. I thought Jennings batted well. I think Marcus Harris has been exceptional so far as well. I potentially would consider swapping Jones and Harris round. I just think that might suit the side better and them as batters better. Not that Jones, I think Jones is a great player, but I think him at number 4 would probably suit his style more. And Harris obviously is a test match opener. I'm a bit surprised that they've not done that from the start. But yeah, I would like to see Lancs be a little bit more positive in that kind of first innings. I think we score too slowly, to be honest, and it's not often a criticism I use, but I do think that can be the case. So I'd like to see Lancs be more positive.
That was one of the things that I noticed in the Middlesex game, the first game of the season, was how negative Lancs were. Now, it's fine if you've got players that just naturally bat slowly. But especially in that Middlesex game where Middlesex go from 180 for 2 to 260 all out, it felt like a time to put your foot down, really put your foot on the neck of Middlesex and get the game done. What happened instead was Middlesex, although they were bowling a lot of overs and not taking wickets, runs weren't going on the board. So you go 30, 40 overs without a wicket, well, it's fine because Lancs have only scored 100 runs. It doesn't feel like the game's got away from you if they scored 160 runs. Whereas, from what I see, is that's kind of one of the criticisms that people have of the coach, is that the crickets might be slightly too negative. But I thought they showed very good resilience in this game. I thought Northants were fantastic.
I thought Northants were brilliant, yeah. James Sales, what a player he is. If you've not seen James Sales bat, make sure you go and watch him because he's he's a premium talent in county cricket and saves Abe as well. Wow. Another exceptional player. Like they have some really good players. Obviously Harrison's only there temporarily, but also a brilliant player. I like Rafi Weatherall as well. Yeah, I thought they were the better side throughout. Northampton obviously got lucky with Lanks deciding to bowl first, and I thought Lanks bowlers didn't perform badly by any stretch. I just thought it wasn't a pitch to bowl first on. And Jennings is, credit to him, always honest and admitted in his interview that it wasn't probably the wrong call at the toss. And like I say, he's always kind of never gonna say anything but the truth, Jennings. So I thought that was a really honest interview. But yeah, I thought Lanks bowled pretty well. I thought John Turner was excellent, and in his first spell, it kind of took him a little bit of time to get up to speed. But I don't think he's played much cricket, and once he did, I thought he was fantastic, and just everything that I really liked to watching a fast bowler. Very quick, tall, hits the pitch hard, extra bounce, swing the ball. Like, he's just a brilliant player, and hoping that this loan spell extends beyond 2 games, because I think him, Sakib Mahmood, and Jimmy Anderson and Anderson Phillip as a one fast bowling unit potentially would be ridiculous. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought Northants played really well, and then Lanks, despite struggling in their first innings, did really well in their second to hang on, save the game. Just kind of showed that kind of grit that you need, especially down in Division 2 sometimes. In terms of the Division 2 table, Leicestershire are top. Kent are second, despite winning 2 games, and Leicestershire winning 1, drawing 1. That's probably 8 points for a draw, and the bonus point system being a little bit stupid. Derbyshire are third on 36 points, and then there's a big drop to Lancs in 4th, Gloucestershire in 5th, Northamptonshire in 6th, Glamorgan in 7th, and Middlesex all the way down in the bottom on 14 points with a loss and a draw. That is the County Championship Week 2 rounded up. Thank you very much for watching. Please go check out Joe. He's very kindly sat and done this with me twice now because I didn't press record the first time. So please go check him out on all of his socials. They will be down in the description and the show notes. We'll be back possibly, I don't think we'll be back before the weekend. There'll be a roundup of all the IPL action over the weekend. We've had some pretty good IPL games this week, so we might even talk about those as well. So I will see you guys in the next one. Remember to like, rate, review, all the usual stuff on any of your podcast platform. And do you know what? Go out and tell one of your friends. Tell them that it's your favourite cricket podcast and that you want to listen to it more. Go and do that. And I'll see you guys probably on the weekend.